Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Pigskin Addicts, back again with another video. So, as most of you guys have probably seen, the Chargers dropped the news that Justin Herbert had to have surgery to repair his labrum in his left shoulder. This was news that was shocking to, I think, to everybody. There really wasn't, any breadcrumbs to this at all. There's, players who are nicked up pretty much all season long, right? And there was a few games where Herbert had his left shoulder taped up. Week 18 against Denver, he had that black K-tape on there. I'm going to put a picture of that so you guys can see it. He had his shoulder taped up really good, and it just happens, right? It happens. There's not any inkling of a serious injury, of injury that requires surgery or anything like that. So I didn't think anything of it. I'm sure most of you guys didn't think anything of it as well, too. But to hear this news now at this point, all it really does is reinforce how bad Brandon Staley's decision making is. He has to be the worst decision maker as far as coaches go in the NFL. There's absolutely no way at all Justin Herbert should have been on the field in Week 18. No way. No way, no how, if you know he has a torn labrum. And the pushback on that, they say that, him playing could not have made the injury any worse. That's the pushback that I see. And right, that could be true. That could be true. We don't know in his specific situation. You don't know how bad it's torn, right? Maybe, a bad enough hit could have, completely torn it or whatever. The word on the street is that, his injury was not going to be any worse from playing. But when you look at it from the standpoint of your star quarterback, your franchise quarterback has some type of injury that is going to require surgery when the season ends, there's no way he should be on the field, right? There's no way he should be on the field. And my counter argument to that is when you have injuries, right? And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional. I don't pretend to be, I don't play one on TV, but I do know about sports injuries, right? I do know a little something about it. Me playing sports all of my life, having friends dealing with different types of injuries and stuff. I know a little bit about it, and I do know something called overcorrection, right? So when you have an injury to, a certain side of your body, you can overcorrect, right? So Herbert's left shoulder is bad, right? Yes, it's not his throwing shoulder, but when it comes to mechanics, right, when it comes to your windup, when it comes to the way that you release the ball, all of this type of stuff, all of that plays into it, right? And if you're not healthy, and if you have a torn labrum, right, and I assume that, it was probably painful, but it's probably not the most painful thing that he's dealt with, even in the 2022 season, right? Obviously, he had the rib injury, but the overcorrection really, really, really does cause other injuries, right? When you overcorrect. And that's one of the main things when athletes get injured, right? And they don't take the time up to heal. You overcorrect. And that's normally what happens. That normally leads to other things happening in your body. Right now, as far as Herbert goes, right, we don't know anything. He's not a guy. He's not going to come out and tell everybody that he's not feeling well. He's not going to make excuses. That's not what he does. But just when you look at this injury, right? This is something to lead, like, the NFL Network when they come on, Total Access. This will lead a show, right? If it was the season, Justin Herbert has a torn labrum, that would lead a show. It would lead ESPN shows. It would lead a lot of shows because he is obviously the face of the franchise, right? You cannot take chances when it comes to that. So when you're looking at this injury, right, and I'm glad that he had the surgery. I'm glad that he got it, cleaned up, and they said that he should be okay to go for off-season workouts and things like that, right? Which I don't doubt, right? That's still kind of down the line. We're talking 3-4 months down the line, right? So I do think he'll be ready for that. But this lends to the discussion about what other things are going on in the Chargers building that nobody is talking about, right? This also can lead to a discussion as well, too, with the NFL. If they knew about Justin Herbert's injury and he wasn't on the injury report for the playoff game, right? If he wasn't on the injury report for the Week 18 game, we would have to go back and look at those. But if he wasn't on the injury report for that, the Chargers could be in trouble. They can be fined. You have to disclose these injuries, right? This is the Bill Belichick thing. The NFL has fined the Patriots and Bill Belichick numerous times for not disclosing injuries. And, I think the fines are more now because of sports betting and all of this stuff. People have to know who's going to play, who's 100%, who's close to 100%, right? Any type of injury designations, they have to be disclosed. So this lends to a lot of different discussions, right? And I think at the top, the most important discussion is Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley's decision making, because if this injury caused anything else, right? If Justin Herbert was not able to really deliver, right? If he was, overcorrecting and it did cause an injury somewhere else, right? What would we be talking about now, right? Brandon Staley, he caused the injury to Mike Williams in Week 18. Mike Williams should not have been out there. He shouldn't have been playing, right? That's already been litigated. We get that. We understand that. But your star quarterback being in the same position in a meaningless Week 18 game does not make any sense. This is even worse. This is worse to me. And, as far as fans go, I think the confidence has never been lower in Brandon Staley. You cannot do that. You just can't do that. There's nowhere in the world where anybody is going to tell me, just because I'm not an NFL coach, just because I'm not a player, just because I'm not involved in the league in an official capacity, nobody's going to tell me that I'm wrong about this, because you just don't do it. Why take the chance? Why? Why take the chance? It just doesn't make any sense. There's no reward at the end of it. And that's the whole entire thing with this. So Brandon Staley's decision making is very, 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 very bad. I think, as far as his job security, Brandon Staley's job security, I don't know where we're at on that. I know a lot of people talk about the Spanos family and how cheap they are, and how they don't like to fire head coaches. But if you go out and you get the franchise quarterback hurt, that affects the bottom line. That affects the Spanos bottom line, and you're not in a relationship where it's just a lovey-lovey relationship. Brandon Staley has to produce, or else he will be gone. The Spanos family is not in love with him. They like him, but they're not in love with him, right? So they would be able to make a business decision if they needed to. And I think, just with all this news coming in, I think that decision was a lot closer than media and everybody else wants to believe. They had to know about this injury. They had to know about the Week 18 stuff. They had to know about all of this. So internally, right, and the Chargers, they don't leak a lot. The building is pretty tight. It's a pretty tight-knit group of people. A lot of the same people that have been working there for a really long time. A lot of the people moved from San Diego to LA. So it's a close-knit group, so they don't get a lot of leaks. But I can imagine that internally, ownership, executive management, I'm sure that they were not happy with this situation. I'm sure that they were not happy with Brandon Staley's decision-making. Fans obviously are not happy with Brandon Staley's decision making, but again, this is another hurdle. It's another speed bump, I guess you can say, in this journey, right? In this Brandon Staley era, this is not going to go over well. And at this point right now, all Brandon Staley can do is win. That's it. The time for talking, the time for press conferences, all of this type of stuff, his professor level of oration, right? None of that matters now. He has to go out and win. He has to go out and win. That's all that's going to cure everything that's going on. It's just winning. It's just winning and having this team be prepared. If they're not prepared and if they don't win next year, I don't expect Brandon Staley to finish the year out. I just don't. With all of these gaffes, especially when you are talking about your franchise and, you're putting your franchise on the line, right? And this is all of this is, not even including the Week 3, right? When Justin Herbert, his ribs were torn up and he stayed in a, 38-10 blowout game, right? In the fourth quarter, taking hits. All of it is piling up. And this is not looking good for Brandon Staley. And not only is it not looking good for him right now with the Chargers, this is not looking good for him in his future endeavors either. There is not going to be any owner that is going to hire this guy that takes these kind of risks. There's not any owner. These guys are about their money. They're about their bottom line. And any coach that is reckless enough to put the franchise player out there in harm's way, he's not going to be looked upon favorably when it comes to getting another coaching job. So Brandon Staley better get his shit together. That's really all that. But That's all it boils down to. He needs to get his shit together. This team has to win, and they have to look good doing it. If not, then he is going to be gone. I honestly, truly believe that he will be gone because how many times are we going to go through this, right? How many times are we going to go through this? This is lining up for somebody to get a serious injury, in a meaningless game, right? That's all that's next, right? This is the succession that's happening, right? That's the next thing. Next year is somebody getting a serious injury, Herbert tearing his ACL in a meaningless game or something like that. That's what this line of succession is looking like if they keep letting Brandon Staley make these decisions. At some point, ownership is going to step in and say, no, this is enough. So I expect that to be next year if the Chargers are not winning, but, there's still a lot in the cards, before then. But I just had to come on here and make this video, guys. This is crazy. This is nuts. This is craziness. This Charger franchise is not where they need to be. They are absolutely 100% not where they need to be. And, it all starts from the top down. So until they make a change, then we can expect more of this silliness. But that is all I have for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. Shout out to all my new subscribers. I appreciate you guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button down below. And don't forget to smash the like button on your way out as well, too. I'll be back again tomorrow with more content. And until next time.